The movie begins with Margaret, a New York district attorney, in a panic inside a hotel suite. She had a fling with a young man in his 20s, who unexpectedly died in the room. Desperate, she calls a professional fixer for help. When he arrives, he asks if she contacted anyone else. Margaret insists she hasn't and pleads with him to make the incident go away. The fixer confidently says he's the best at what he does. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door, and another man enters, claiming to be a fixer as well, sent to assist Margaret. Confused, Margaret's fixer asks who summoned him, and the newcomer points to a hidden surveillance camera. Just then, the hotel phone rings. A woman monitoring the suite speaks. She identifies herself as Pamela, the hotel's owner. She puts the call on speaker and explains that she called her own fixer to protect the hotel's reputation. Margaret, being a DA, also wants to avoid scandal, so they agree that both fixers should work together. However, the two men don't get along. Pamela tries to convince her fixer to cooperate, while Margaret reminds her own fixer that he's been caught on tape, so he's stuck now. Reluctantly, both men agree to help and ask Margaret what happened. She explains she met the young man at the hotel bar, liked him, and got a room so they could hook up. After drinking, he started jumping on the bed, fell, hit a bar cart, and died. The fixers give Margaret fresh clothes and send her home while they clean up the mess. Margaret's fixer starts handling the body and cleaning the scene, but Pamela's fixer is more relaxed, sipping drinks and doing nothing. While searching the young man's backpack, they discover drugs. When they call Pamela for guidance, she insists on avoiding any further complications and instructs them to drop the drugs at their intended destination. Both fixers are lone wolves and highly competitive, so Margaret's fixer decides to handle the situation on his own. He expertly wraps the body, disguises it as laundry on a trolley, and gathers all the evidence. As they head to the parking lot, Pamela's fixer disables the security camera feed to distract the guard. Margaret's man pulls his car into the lot and smoothly loads the body into his trunk. He plans to erase the surveillance footage himself, but Pamela's fixer refuses to help, insisting that his orders were to make Margaret's fixer do it solo. Suddenly, the supposedly dead kid wakes up. Turns out he was just high, not dead. The fixers knock him out again and argue, as Pamela's man accuses the other of failing to check the kid's pulse. Realizing the kid could reveal where the drugs were meant to be delivered, they decide to revive him. Margaret's fixer tries calling his medic, but gets no response. Pamela's fixer suggests seeing his own contact, a medic in Chinatown. On the way, Margaret's fixer figures out that the Albanian mob recently lost a drug shipment and suspects the kid's boss might be behind it. When they arrive, each fixer pockets a brick of drugs for leverage. They meet the medic, who turns out to be a woman named June. Pamela's fixer believes she works only for him, but she's also been helping Margaret's fixer. June focuses on saving the overdosed kid and brings him inside through a back entrance. After checking him, she notes he's barely alive due to the extreme purity of the drugs. The fixers start bickering again over June's loyalties, prompting her to kick them out. Left outside, the two share a drink, and Pamela's fixer opens up, revealing that June once saved his life and took care of him during recovery. Meanwhile, Margaret's fixer remembers being around when June helped Pamela's fixer, but he had intentionally kept them from meeting. Suddenly, they spot the kid escaping, and the two veterans give chase. The kid runs into a mall, with Pamela's man pursuing him on foot, while Margaret's man drives around to cut him off at the exit. The kid makes it out of the mall and nearly gets hit by the car, but jumps just in time, landing on his feet in slow motion before taking off again. The older fixers struggle to keep up. The kid eventually climbs up to a highway via a bridge, but both fixers manage to corner him there. They capture him and return to June's clinic, where she gives them medication for him, but refuses to let them back inside. Later, the fixers debate where to interrogate the kid, unwilling to expose their own safe houses. They dress him in some of Margaret's spare clothes and bring him to a motel. Margaret's fixer takes the lead on the interrogation, but the kid plays dumb. Frustrated, Pamela's fixer blurts out that they have his stash. They step outside to discuss their next move and decide to threaten the kid. The tactic works. He confesses that the drugs belong to LaGrange, a major player in the city's drug trade. The kid insists he's not a dealer and only agreed to do a favor for his college buddy, Diego, who works for Lagrange. Diego's mother had just passed away, so the kid offered to help by delivering the package. He admits he sampled a bit of the product, got high, wandered into a bar, met Margaret, and the next thing he remembers is waking up in her suite and falling on the cart. He explains that the actual drop location was supposed to be sent to a pager, one he still needs to pick up from the bar where Diego works. As they drive to the bar, the kid wonders if the two fixers are actually partners. When they arrive, a Croatian song playing inside tips them off that Dimitri, a dangerous Croatian gangster, is also there. They both realize they've done jobs for Dimitri in the past, coincidentally, and if he sees them together, he might assume they're plotting against him and have them killed. Despite the danger, the fixers still don't trust each other and decide all three of them should go in together to retrieve the pager. They sneak in through the back and discover Dimitri is hosting his daughter's wedding party at the bar. The kid quietly heads to the bar and manages to find his pager, but no one hands it to him. He grabs it himself and is quickly detained by bar security. The fixers try to move in, but get swept up into a traditional Croatian kolo dance. Trying to stay inconspicuous, they end up drawing Dimitri's attention. The two quickly draw guns on each other, pretending they're strangers who just had a standoff. Dimitri intervenes, confiscates their weapons, and scolds them for crashing his daughter's wedding. Fortunately, he buys their act and lets them go. However, one of his men notices they had matching guns and becomes suspicious. Outside, Margaret's fixer finds the kid waiting by his car with the pager, though the address hasn't come through yet. They head to a diner to wait. Over food, the kid starts realizing how alike the two fixers really are. They're both skilled, secretive, and seasoned pros. When the kid goes to the bathroom, the fixers discuss how Lagrange could have gotten the Albanian drugs and suspect a setup. They agree to let the kid make the drop, but warn that if he tries to disappear, they'll take him out themselves. Eventually, the pager pings with an address. The fixers don't recognize it, but the kid does, and they drive to the location. Once there, they instruct the kid to deliver the drugs while they stay back and watch. Though unsure, the kid agrees and heads inside. But suddenly, a convoy of armed men arrives. It's the Albanians, coming to wipe out Lagrange's crew. Then, Dimitri's men ambush them, unleashing a brutal shootout. The fixers try to reverse out of the chaos, but their car gets disabled from the crossfire. They pop the trunk, grab weapons, and start returning fire, shooting at Dimitri's men as they scramble for survival. Hearing gunfire from Lagrange's warehouse, the fixers rush over and see two wounded men stumbling out before dying. Inside, they discover a tracker in the Albanian's car and find that the warehouse is filled with bodies. Lagrange's crew and the Albanians have wiped each other out. While searching the scene, they find the kid alive, hiding inside a limo trunk. Realizing he's now a liability, they tell him to place the remaining drugs in position and then abort the mission. As he follows their instructions, Margaret's fixer prepares to shoot him, but has a change of heart. Instead, Pamela's fixer fires, but not at the kid. He shoots one of the drug bricks, revealing a hidden tracker inside. With that discovery, they decide to spare the kid and hop on a subway. At the kid's home, he nervously asks what to tell his father. The fixers sternly tell him to forget everything. If he talks, both he and his dad will be killed. They meet the father, who turns out to be a Frank Sinatra fan. He asks why they've come, but the scene cuts to the fixers walking away, having presumably delivered a serious threat. The father is left stunned. At a diner, the two fixers wonder aloud whether Lagrange ever really stole the drugs, or if someone else orchestrated everything. Margaret's fixer gets up to leave but asks Pamela's fixer how Pam convinced him to work together. He responds by quoting his motto, "You take a job, you give your word, and that word's the measure of a man." Margaret's man realizes he lives by the same code. They both suddenly connect the dots. The same mysterious employer, a close friend of both Margaret and Pam, had likely sent them into a trap. They suspect they were set up to die for knowing too much. Realizing there are men outside waiting to kill them, they ready their weapons and agree to finally share names, if they survive. In the post-credits scene, the kid reunites with Margaret and in a full circle moment, jumps on the bed again, only to hilariously fall on the same bar cart. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.